going on. Um, During this last full moon period here, I watched kind of like spirits jump around from person to person, and I seen like swaps. That's where people will actually switch polarities, and they'll become the opposite, and the other person will become the opposite, but it would become what the other person was, and likewise, vice versa with the other one. Like I seen people stir crazy, full of anxiousness, then full of like kind of like a lackadaisical. Uh, then at the end of the full moon here, it was like everyone was drained, and then they kind of got sick. So it's like it's strange, but like if a person is flip floppy and double minded, you'll see that come out of people a lot. And what's crazy is that I watched like four people all have like relationship issues in the same 24-hour period, and it's definitely related to it's got to be related to the moon, freaking, and for some reason it's like it comes in and people start getting angsty and they get all, or they get overly emotional, and then on the flip of being overly emotional, they become vulgar, and they'll be like they'll blast it on thick and not care of anyone's emotions when they were overly emotional and too sensitive, and then all of a sudden they become so they have no sense at all. You know what I'm saying? Like a day later, or it's freaking crazy. And I've been hit with all these freaking spirit attacks myself, man. I've been through the same thing. It's like I didn't start off anxious, but when you're around anxious people enough, by the time they get calm, now you have anxiousness. You know what I'm saying? Working through all these freaking spirits. But the fact that I made videos in advance saying I was going to watch this and peep it and how it rolled, it really hit me really hard. Like today, I felt like spiritually, like gremlins have been just chewing all over me for a few days, and I was just I was vamped out, and I realized that like towards the end, you're all sucked dry and you're weak, and it says when you're like in a weak emotional state, a weak spiritual state, a weak energy state, you're more susceptible to even more poltergeist, ghosts, entities, spirits, attacks. You know, and it's like whenever you know that you're in this period, it's like even it doesn't matter how you're feeling, don't operate too don't operate in it or on it. Wait a few days before you make any decisions, because chances are you're probably influenced, you're moonstruck, and you're freaking got you could have a very mild case of lunacy, mediocre, or a very strong case, or a full blown possession like moon possession. It's not the moon that possesses, but there's something about the atmosphere of it that it's like swings from pole to like polarity to polarity. Like it does this like four different times, like on the way in two, and then two on the way out. And I watch how people, and you know, and it's like, look, the thing of it is, I called it out, saw it, and still for some reason, you know, like the people who should know better still were incapable of totally warding it off. In some cases, it even like made them more like susceptible to it, almost like our proclamations become word curses during that time, because it's like by making a proclamation, the spirits almost antagonize you, and like since they're like, oh shoot, this one's onto us, we better go throw everything at him and teach him a lesson to keep his mouth shut and stop telling our tricks. You know what I'm saying, to other people. Uh, so yeah, man, it's like I feel not only was I right and then I was attacked. But then out of retribution, these things kind of freaking stunted on me a little bit, man. Freaking, and it's not just me or my even close, just always relationships. When I just be sitting around watching, looking for a pattern, anyone who comes in my environment, so I can get a visual on them, and I'll just take notes. It's like I don't need to know everything about you, but like, look, if during the full moon you come over for 15 minutes, you're fighting with your chick, then y'all leave all like, it's just, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take note of that. I don't need to know all the details. All I know is, well, it looked like they were having issues, and then you know what I'm saying. So it's like I seen this in 4 different. Not even just that, because it's not even just a man and a woman relationship. Sometimes you might see get tested. You might see like a mother and a daughter, or family members or friends. Like they'll be like, you'll be sitting back watching, and you'll be like, you'll see the like, it's just they're getting freaking played by and orchestrated by some kind of like energy, some kind of spirit, and I don't know, man. It's hard to convince anyone of this type of stuff because it sounds all like spooky and superstition and all that, but it's like no, it's actually, if you look at it on an energy scale, it's really it, it it goes in and out of each other very well. Freaking, especially when you look at it on an energy level, like that. There's a pull and a push during that time of the full moon, you know, and we're still here. We're on the very tail of it, and it even seemed like it appeared as if it died down and was done, but then it came back for a last hurrah, like a final wave of fuckery and chaos, and everything I like profiled about it seemed to come to pass, and it's not totally self-fulfilling. I mean, because if you're aware of something, you'll be expecting it, so even you'll be observing it in a way, expecting to see this particular result, and I can understand that, how that could work to where maybe you almost cause it to happen yourself because you're expecting it. So, but being aware of it and doing everything to avoid some of these things, and then it's still happening anyway, I'm like, I'm just really freaking vamped out. Like, freaking poltergeist done just sucked some of my life force, laughed at me like, and then flew away. I mean, I don't know if there's a portal, like literally a portal open and things flew in and they're just here now. Like they just didn't come in for the night, for the little time period. Like they actually got let in. Uh, and then the more negligent people are, the worse they're gonna allow these things to wreak havoc on other people. But it's like, look, you can't blame the spirits when you're frickin' working with them and frickin' kind of it's like when you know that this is going on, but yet you just totally give into it. You know, it's kind of like it's I don't know, man. It's difficult, but you can lead the horses to water, man. But you know they might even drink, but that doesn't mean that when they get the when they get the feeling, they're gonna run around and go. They're gonna start, going back to their old ways or whatnot, or their freaking. I don't know, man. It's pretty overwhelming to see this stuff in action and then actually have a full blown attack, like survive them from like all the time. It's like no, we survive these things our whole life, but it's just we didn't realize that that it's high intensity. There's little high intensity times, man, and if you're paying attention, you'll see that like yeah, there's something going on where like people are getting affected by some kind of energy or force. You know what I'm saying? Some kind of process or some kind of like it's almost like seasonal thing, where like certain seasons the energy shift, and because the energy's changing and it's shifting, you know, the attributes of the things that happen may shift also. You know what I'm saying? But yet, in total, it's still kind of like a waxing, waning, polarity shifting, a very bipolar, a very double-minded, a very unstable, a very unpredictable, a very chaos-prone time frame. And you know, I believe this with all my heart that yeah, this is this. I've been watching it for a while, kind of learning, but this one I was really waiting to see what happened, and it did not disappoint. It totally went through and just tore up the whole environment, like almost like it's damaged so bad that might not ever be the same now after this. And it's just because you know, if you tell people, they're just gonna laugh at you and think it sounds, you know, it's just being over imaginative or crazy or whatever. So it's like in a way they would almost invite in the spirits by doubting what you're saying. So you know, then it would bring it even harder. I mean, it's just like it's a really difficult thing to get people to grasp and take seriously. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I definitely take it serious now, and I'm a more experienced man now. But some experiences you would rather have not had to learn. But since you know shit happens, it's like, well, I'm gonna make the most out of it, and I'm gonna use this information that I learned, and I'm gonna batten down the freaking hatches